For too many people in Chattanooga, the cost of renting an apartment is beyond their means. According to Zumper, the online apartment search site, in the last year, the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment in Chattanooga jumped by 18.3% over the past year to an average rent of $1,550 a month. Realtors are reporting that the rise in rental prices is now slowing, but for many people, finding affordable housing is an almost insurmountable task. And when they lose their job and don't have a family to help them until they find a job, they have no other option than to live on the street. According to the CHATT Foundation, over 4,000 people, including over 1,000 school-aged children, were forced to live on the street in Chattanooga last year. This is the second part of a two-part, On the Outside in Chattanooga, talking about some of the solutions to the problem from the city and its partner, Help Right Here. In the past year, the city has taken some significant steps to help people find an affordable place to live. For many people, making the transition from life on the street into apartment living is a challenge. The city has plans to help by creating a block of supportive housing. According to Casey Tinker, the manager of the Office of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, the city has plans to convert the Airport Inn Motel on Lee Highway into 80 apartments, along with a person on site to help people with the practical and emotional challenges they face as they leave the ad hoc community on the street to independent living in an apartment.
You're talking 80 beds, 80 apartment, not just beds, 80 apartments that will provide safe, secure housing for the unsheltered. This is nothing compared with camping or living in a tent. They would have their own apartment, ownership of it, live there, come and go, go to work, go to school, do whatever they need to do, while also being provided supportive services from staff that will be on site.
In addition to the proposed supportive housing, the city is also making plans, according to Mr. Tinker, to build the first low-barrier overnight shelter in Chattanooga.
It is a top priority for the city right now. We are currently looking at several different sites, and hopefully we will be able to narrow that down and make an announcement within a few months. But it is the top priority to create that low barrier shelter 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we're hoping to have that up and running within less than a year from the date that we announce it.
For the first time, almost anyone living on the street in Chattanooga will have access to a bed for the night.
It will be low barrier, but it does have the same criteria that someone would have to try to get a Section 8 voucher or something like that.
At the same time that the city is making plans to help the unhoused, Help Right Here, a nonprofit managing the encampment at 12th and Peoples, has plans to create a village that would offer housing and services similar to those proposed by the city in the Airport Inn. As Anne-Marie and Nikki from Help Right Here told us, the need for transitional housing for the long-term homeless is essential. This is Johnny. Listening to him describe his life on the street and the first steps he took to find shelter exemplified the difficulty in making the transition from life on the street into an apartment. Life on the street, he said, was
terrifying. It was terrifying. Like I said, when I found the community kitchen, I walked in there for the very first time and got in line and went through the line. They handed me a tray of food and I was just, I was just sitting there looking at it for a second. And the lady that handed it to me, she's like, just go sit down and eat. I was like, yes, ma'am. So I went over and I found a empty seat, and I just sat there and I looked at it. And I didn't even eat that day. I just started crying and it's like, what have I done to myself?
On the Outside in Chattanooga is written and produced by Richard Winham and Mal O'Connell. For WUTC, I'm Mal O'Connell.